Adam, Fahr or Fair, either. Arkansas, CJF.
You know, the very essence of the mental game is this. The only reason an event matters is because we make it matter.
Welcome to the Mullins Farrier podcast.
Every horse, whatever it was doing, had a season. Once their competition season finished, they took the shoes off, they chucked it out in the field with some other horses, and it had a 2, maybe 3 months period where it went and remembered what being a horse was all about.
Even in a cheaper area, your prices should be set by your skill level, by your experience. And some people might not feel that they're worth, as much as others. But if you're only charging $160 to shoe a horse, then the only way you're making money is on your trims.
The WCB was a way to make sure that you kept the trade alive. I think I'm a custodian of the trade, so it's like we have to keep it going.
It was hard, but you adapt and overcome, and that probably gets to me where I am now. It's problem solving, horseshoeing's problem solving, and back in the day it was problem solving how to be as strong as the older apprentices. So it's all about adapting and overcoming, which was good.
I know we learn every day, but you do have to put yourself outside the box and just continue to learn, which is why I was just trying to do my fellowship, because I still have apprentices, and if I stay at my AW, I'm stagnant.
Welcome, everyone. A little shopkeeping before we start. Simon Curtis's final webinar of the year is coming up shortly on the 6th. The topic is Hoof Rehab with Paige Poss and Marty Sala. Go to eventbrite.co.uk and search for Hoof Rehab Webinar. Don't forget to use the discount code Mullins at checkout. I don't know if it's a sign of my age or if it's real, but I've found lately that more and more businesses could care less about customer service. It used to be a point of pride for many companies, especially the bigger ones, that they didn't treat you like a number. Now, the big companies have a maze of automated customer service avatars to lead you down the rabbit hole so far that you actually give up talking to a real person. And then the smaller companies just don't call you back. Amongst the sea of deadbeat companies, those few who go above and beyond really stand out. Now, I'm sure you've probably heard me say that I don't feel comfortable advertising for companies that I don't believe in. When Out West Designs approached me about sponsoring the podcast, I had seen their products in a few of my friends' rigs, and I knew their reputation, so I felt pretty comfortable aligning with them as a sponsor. It was for those same reasons that I had Out West Designs build a few components for the interior of my new rig. Unfortunately, when they arrived, I discovered that they had been damaged during the cross-country journey, resulting in some usable but very tired-looking components. When I relayed this to Spencer at Out West, he went to work immediately to rectify the situation. He rebuilt some components to replace the more damaged ones, and then flew cross-country to help clean up some of the other pieces and install them. His words were, "I don't want you to just be okay with your unit. I want you to be happy." I was blown away by how much he cared to make sure that it was right. So if you were thinking about having a new rig built, I would highly recommend Spencer and Logan at Out West Designs. They build quality products custom to spec, but more importantly, they take care of their clients. I feel like there's an important lesson in here for us as farriers. In a world where your clients are constantly facing the disappointment of poor customer service, you should aim to be the outlier, the one business that they deal with that actually cares. Just a little food for thought. I met today's guest many years ago in the Heartland when he was practicing quite a bit with Cody. More recently, I've run into him a bunch at Stoneleigh, the AFA convention, and in Calgary at the World Championships. Adam was always so busy competing at these events that we never had a chance to sit down and do an interview. Calgary was finally our chance, and after an earlier round for Adam one day, we went up to the Farriers bar at Spruce Meadows and sat on the balcony overlooking the trade show hall. Unfortunately, the music and ambient noise intruded on the recording and drowned out Adam a bit. Not to worry though, Heather over at Twisted Spur Media worked her magic, and there are only a few instances where Adam's voice sounds a little bit distorted, almost like the audio version of an over-pixelated picture. Don't worry though, ladies. Overall, Adam's smooth southern voice comes through loud and clear. As you will hear, he is full of wisdom, and there were a ton of quotable lines from him. One of my personal favorites is that, as farriers, we live life at 90. I think that should be put on a t-shirt or something. I was also quite inspired by his concept of improving 1% each day, and how over 365 days, that's a lot of improvement. This concept of marginal gains came up in quite a few of my interviews at Stoneleigh this year as well. I guess if so many top competitors and prevalent farriers are all talking about it, there must be something to it. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the conversation as much as I did.
Started shoeing in 97 for the public, clinched and pulled shoes about 3 years prior to that. And the rest is history. Here we are.
So you don't mind if somebody mispronounces your name?
It's really not mispronounced. Like, I grew up and it was Fair. And they just pronounced it Fair. My high school knew me as Fair and all that. And then when I moved north after I got married, just an hour or so north, there's some family there. Same family, and they just went by Fahr. You know, it was distant enough kin that they didn't show up at Christmas and we didn't go there, you know.
Right.
But they went by Fahr. Same blood, same. I think the correct is Fahr, you know.
Okay.
It's German.
Yeah, I was just going to say we should ask the Germans here.
Yeah, I mean, the beer here is Fahr, F-A-H-R. So the correct is Fahr, but I guess, and the correct is Fair. I go by both.
Okay.
When I'm out and about like this, at these deals, definitely I'm Fahr.
Okay.
When I'm home, it's just depending on who's hollering at me.
Right. Whether you'll answer at all.
I'll answer,
Yeah.
depending on what they're hollering about.
Right. So what got you started pulling and clinching and into this career?
My cousin, he's about 5 years older. He started shoeing 4 or 5 years ahead of me. So like around 93, 92, something like that. I'd hang out with him in the summers, you know, shoeing horses, and I'd just pull, clinch, hold horses, just do whatever. You hold so many horses, and you start like, all right, I'll pull shoes. I'll do whatever you want me to do, not to hold this next horse.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then one day we were supposed to be doing my dad's horses, and it didn't get done. We ended up doing some others, and you know, goofing off and doing God knows what. Dad comes home that evening and said, "Hey, how'd they do?" And I'm like, "Oh, they all stood well." He goes, "So they're ready to go?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess they're leaving this week." He goes, "Who are you talking about?" And I'm like, "Oh, so-and-so." He goes, "You didn't do mine?" And I'm like, "No, he got sidetracked. We went and did some others." He goes, and he got mad. And I was like, "Well, I'll tell you what, if you sent me to school, I could at least do ours." He shipped my ass off.
Really?
There we go. Yeah. That's kind of how it got started. So that was right after my junior year in high school. Came back, shod horses through my senior year, through college. And like I said, the rest is history. Here we are.
Okay. What did you go to college for?
Ag business.
Okay. Yeah. Which I was going to say probably is helpful because most of us farriers are terrible at business.
Oh, we're horrible. I mean, for me, I lose sight of the business part of it just because you focus more on practice and competing. And then like when you're doing your certs, you're hyper focused on that. And then we all have those customers that are needy or they need more or whatever, but we all hyper focus on the horses we work on too, you know?
Yeah.
We talk smack stuff, but we all care. My opinion, thinking about the horses, thinking about everything else and scheduling and then practicing and family and all that, the business sometimes for me, that kind of gets put on the backside. And then it's like, oh shit, I
have to earn a living at this.
Yeah, I got to earn a living. So then you restructure real quick and then you're back on track. You know, you take 2 days and do this and pay that and get it, you know, scheduled it. And it's just, for me, scheduling, I used to be really good at it. Then I got burned out on it because you can't make everybody happy.
Yeah. No matter how hard you try.
You spend like 4 hours doing the scheduling and then you call around, send out texts, and then it just didn't work because little Johnny's got baseball and little Susie's fixing to, do it. And you're like, crap. So you got to redo all that. It just kind of gets redundant and stuff. And I think for me, the business part too, like save this receipt, record this
Yeah.
and save that. And how many miles did you do this? And I just want to shoot horses.
Right. Yeah.
But it's all part of it.
Yeah. It has to be, unfortunately. Where did you go to school?
I went to Oklahoma.
Okay.
Reggie Kessler. Yeah. It was fun. We had a good time. It was six weeks, I believe.
Okay. And then when you got back from that, did you just start shoeing or?
I got back, and then I can tell you it was late on the 14th. I think school was over on the 13th of August. Tell you why I remember this. 13th of August, it was over. The 14th, we get back late at night, wake up next morning. I think the 15th might have been like on a Sunday or something. Put the forge together, kind of got tools sorted. Monday was school. So I started my senior year like that Monday. And
oh, wow. Okay.
after I remember getting out of classes that first day and then going to shoot horses.
Right into it.
Right into it. Like I was eyeball deep.
Right.
Didn't get into competing side of it until that was like I said, that was in my senior year was 98. Didn't do my first contest in 2000 or 2001.
Okay.
Did a few more in 02, and then I think I did my journeyman in 10 or 11. And then just soon right after that journeyman, I started competing with WCB, or about the same time in 10 or 11.
Okay. I think I met you, it would have been around like 2012, 13. You were hanging out at the Heartland a bit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, me and Cody practiced together for about 3 years. Hardcore, man.
Yeah.
Like, it was a good time. Good time.
I remembered you had quite the drive. You're like, I kept seeing you there. And you were like, oh, yeah, we do it almost every weekend or something like that.
Every other weekend.
Yeah.
Yep, sure was. I'd show up and we do our practice and then go home. And that next week and following weekend, I do my own stuff and kind of create questions and burn shit up and mess stuff up. And then you come back and you'd have questions. And Cody, like, no, that's not it. But it was good. Those 3 years, man, it was like being thirsty and trying to get a drink out of a fire hydrant. I mean, just information coming at you.
Yep.
But it was good times.
Yeah. And what got you hooked in the competing thing to begin with?
I've always competed doing something.
Okay.
Baseball or football or roped a little bit. Never was a great roper, just enough to kind of, go out there and rope. I never aspired to being a great roper, but I had fun with it. I'd compete in anything, foot race, running, it's whatever,
Gotcha. Yeah. And did you ever apprentice with somebody, or basically because you were also working after school and stuff like that?
I apprenticed under a few guys there at home. Butch Shahan, he did a ton of reiners, and we got under a lot of horses. And that kind of started after my senior year in high school. He called, and he had one account that just doubled and tripled, like just taking on horses like crazy. I started helping him 2 days a week, I believe it was, maybe 3 in the summer when I didn't have classes. And then when I had classes starting 2 days a week, we shot at a lot of horses and got to be real good friends. Still to this day, good friends. Other people, locally there in Arkansas. And then, of course, you got like Cecil Buffalo and then Hooter and Lloyd Clayton and David McVeigh, John McVeigh, and all them guys in Arkansas. They were always sharing information, and I'd run with them and see different things. I apprenticed, but not like a structured apprenticeship. Like I have an apprentice now. She's been with me 3 years. That's more structured.
Right.
But I didn't really have that other than just shooting a lot of horses with a lot of different people.
Right.
So it's just different.
Yeah. And once you started competing, who did you go to start learning more and more about that?
It'd been Cody.
Oh, okay. That was right off the bat.
Yeah, Cody. And then by the time I started in, I met Andrew Wells. So we kind of came up together. And then Patrick Dutton, Dusty Franklin, definitely. He was always there for helping and stuff. I mean, there's I could just sit here and list names at any point in time. Like still at this point, I call and get help.
Right.
I still have questions. It might be the same questions I had 15 years ago or 10. I just might ask them a different way because I'm seeing it different. Lloyd was good. Hooter was good help. Cecil, all them guys, all of them.
Yeah. When did you start getting to kind of this level? Like I saw you at Stoneleigh last year, competing at the international level. When did you reach that? And
I think it just happens. I think if you just keep chipping away, you look up one day and
you're there.
You're there. I mean, it's hard to see when it happens, and you still feel like right now, I still feel like it doesn't happen. I'm just like, we're at the Worlds right now, and you're like, you question yourself, like, yeah, I've paid my dues, I should be here. And then that's like, man, I don't know, I shouldn't. But then when it's go time, you just block all that out and
do your thing.
Do your thing. You have good goes, bad goes, and the goes turn into contests, and the contests turn into a series of, and then the finals of, and then the new season of. So you just go one go at a time, and then one day you look and you're at a state contest in 2001, and then you're standing at Stoneleigh having coffee with guys that you looked up to and competed against, and sometimes win and sometimes lose against. And I mean, it just happens.
Right.
I think if you stick with it, eventually you look up and you're just kind of like, damn, how'd that happen? I mean, it's good. You step back. I tell everybody all the time, like when I do a clinic or the last time I did one of these, at some point, just take a moment and just take a few steps back away from your toolbox, away from where everybody's got their tools at and it's carnage and just take a step back and just look. That's what it's all about. Like, just see where you're at.
Right.
See what's going on. The handshakes, the shared coffee, somebody brings you a beer that you haven't seen in a year, but they bought two and brings one to you. And, I mean, it just happens. Then you look around and you're in Canada and it's the first Worlds in 9 years. And you're like, wow, you see the highs and lows and your goes and other people's goes and the drama that builds to it. And then it just happens. I don't know. I don't know when it happened. It just happens.
Just a roller coaster ride. In this contest specifically, it seems, especially in the first few days, there were no clear front runners. It just seemed everything kept going back and forth, and
still is.
Yeah.
Here we are the day before the top 10, and it's like they just judged one class and it shifted everything a little bit, and you're like, dang, didn't see that coming. And now we're fixing to finish up these two classes. Each shoe is its own class. They finish these up. One shoe is going to change it up, and then the next shoe is going to change it up.
Right.
And you're like, hey, that's what I say. It's the highs and lows, but you got to stay focused and keep doing you, until the very end.
Yeah.
Because one bad go doesn't define the whole contest.
Right.
One good go doesn't define the whole
contest.
No,
it doesn't. No. Now, how do you work out the balance between earning a living? You're married? You have a family?
Yeah, a wife, 20 years, and then my daughter, 18. We just moved her to college 5 hours away. She's going to Fayetteville in Arkansas. She's a Razorback. You just kind of make it happen. You just learn to balance. I was told one time, how do you do this? And because it was stressing me out, like, how do I compete? How do I have a business? How to be a dad? How to, all that. And it was told, like, schedule family.
Right.
Then schedule practices and competing, then schedule work
around that.
Yeah. And it's like, some people's like, well, you got to schedule work and then you schedule it. No, you live.
Right.
We all like shoeing horse and stuff, but we all get those weeks and 2 weeks at a time where it's just so freaking busy that you can't even think about practicing or going fishing or doing anything. You just got to take care of business. And that's, I get that. But don't live to work, work to live, and that's what that person is telling me. Make time for the things that really matter, the things that you're going to sit and think about. And not that we don't like what we don't do, but just don't get so consumed that you just, man, I wish I had a chance to compete.
Right. Yeah. Look back on it and with regret.
Help move my daughter to college, or you got to do all the things. But I want to compete. I still love competing. This past few months, this year's been just tough because my daughter's senior year and then moving to college. That's just, that's different. Your mindset changes a little bit. Just address it, be in the moments, take care of it. There'll be another contest. There'll be another practice session. There'll be, you know what I mean? Like, so just do it, be in the moment, enjoy taking her to dinner after moving her and which we didn't have time to go to dinner. We were moving her in the dorm room. We had to get some DoorDash pizza brought in and all that, but it's all good. You just make it happen. Schedule family, then schedule compete the contests you want to do, schedule them, and schedule the practices, like if you're on a team or whatever.
Right.
And then when you schedule work around it, nobody's the wiser.
Right.
So when I take time to do that, that's helped me because Betty Barrel Racer didn't know that I pushed her 3 days to the beginning of the week rather than last of the week because I'm at some people hear about it. And I've had I had one lady balk at me when she brought to the shop. She goes, if you didn't do these contest things or practice or whatever, you'd have more time to shoot horses. I'm like, probably need to find somebody else. We're not on the same page, I guess.
It's been interesting. When I first started, a lot of the big competitors in my area, they would be off at something like Stoneleigh or whatever, and I would get phone calls. I'm a newbie. I'm not great at shoeing at this point, and I'm getting phone calls to do like repairs, and then you hear them grumble about, oh, my farrier's at this contest, blah, blah, blah. You would think somebody who's also probably in a competitive sport.
You would think they'd have the same mindset.
Yes, exactly.
It blows my mind, dude. So I've groomed my book. I don't shoot near the horses I used to. I still have a full book, around 200, give or take 20 on either side, whatever, and it probably fluctuates. But they say I've been calling around and talking to farriers, vetting farriers for I do the same thing with customers.
Right.
I have some questions for you,
Right.
So, and it's okay to do that. And the more farriers I talk to that do that, or a little bit more, I'm sure they got their stresses and all things, but you can build your clientele with the people with the same mindset as you.
Yeah.
If they're like, I don't really have anybody at this point. That the lady that said that was a few years ago, and she has a different farrier.
Right.
Anymore, like when somebody calls, I talk to them for a little bit, and I might go do them once, but I may not reschedule them.
Yeah.
If I think they're going to be a little bit more than what I can deal with, no offense, nothing personal. It's just
we're not jiving.
Yeah, like I've had a few texts since we've been here, and they're like, "Hey, I know you're in Canada. I know you're doing that, but just so you know, the list has changed, this and that. But good luck, and we'll just figure it out when you get back. But just wanted to make note." And I'm
Right.
like, "That's cool. I can handle that. That's fair enough."
Yeah.
But people getting mad or put out that I'm out here, or any farrier is out there doing their thing, putting their work on the line to be judged by their peers, just to be able to walk away, win, lose, or draw, on how to be better come Monday morning when you're under their horse.
Yeah.
Because anybody that's going to be here doing this is not going to go to work on Monday and just whack and tack and do hack work.
No.
Most likely, the people that we all have scheduled on Monday or Tuesday when we get back is fixing to get some
spot on
shoeing,
Yeah.
what I call vindictive shoeing, because I'm like, I'll think about it and I'll simmer on it all the way home of, man, I was just a little bit outside of center, or I was just this, or my nail lines were not where I wanted, or I need to fit out and around for my toe clip, or, whatever it might be, or I just wasn't. You bet your ass this coming week, that's on my brain. You can't that's the mindset of the people that's doing it. So I don't understand when some farriers say, well, my customers just really, all right. So we're at a jumping facility right here, Spruce Meadows, phenomenal. The mindset of these people, they wanted to see
Yes.
the best of the best come here and compete, and they respect, so
Yep.
that's the people I'm going to put in my book.
Right.
That way, when somebody texts and says, hey, I got a shoe off, I'm competing. Oh, then all of a sudden it's not about the shoe. It's about, do good. Let us know how you're going. We're fine. We'll take care of it when we get back.
Right. Yeah.
Build your clientele around people that support like that, and then support them when they go. So it's a win-win.
Yes. No, I completely agree.
And then the ones that don't support, once they start seeing that was a flaw, they may come back and want you, and then all of a sudden they're supportive.
Yeah, you're right. You're on the same page. Now, something that has come up in quite a few conversations with the folks who are here, because there is so much sacrifice of time to practice and prepare for something like this, the support from home. Because I have heard some where it's caused divorces, and others where their partner has pushed them to do this. So what's your kind of take on that? You've experienced a lot of folks that are in the same mindset.
I think it's time management.
Yeah.
I think if time's managed well, then it's understood.
Right.
I mean, this is part of who I am. I'm going to do it. Like, I wouldn't ask anybody to quit what they're doing.
Right.
So I think it's all about time management, and it's just no different than the customer. If everybody's on the same page.
Yeah. So what are some of the things that you've learned coming here? Some of the things you've seen that
from this contest? Man, one bad go doesn't mean it's over. You may not catch up to the spot you want to be in, but there's still time to have a good showing. If you have a good go or one good shoe, which is a good class, then okay, but have a short memory. You got another class,
Yeah, don't take your foot off the pedal. And
yeah, and it's always like a shot in the arm whenever I see like I was just sitting out there watching the go before we did this. It was Matt Randall's, and then 2 stations down was Tom Peterson. And then you just see the flow. So I'm always reminded that I can always work on that, just fire maintenance. Yeah. But if you think you're going fast, if you think you're getting done, like you get done with the amount of time, but there's always room to push more.
Right.
The bar is always going to be pushed, man.
Mm-hmm. That's the nature of the beast.
Oh, it's crazy. And then like that 20-minute speed shoe, there was a lot learned from that. I remember when that came out on the list, we're like, that won't be too bad. Well, then it sucked. It's like, man, I'm clipping and I got 2 minutes to clean. Like, what are you supposed to do? There are going to be a bunch of crappers on the table. This ain't right. We all go
right through that stage. Yeah.
And then it's like, all right.
Let's hunker down. And
you hunker down, you start thinking about it. You get a little bit more methodical about it. Then you do it. And it's like, well, there wasn't an issue with the system. It was, I need to go faster.
Right.
So then you go faster and then you find a hiccup. And you're like, well, maybe the system needs to. Anyway, you start putting goes together. And then that's the beauty about these contests and the competitors and the farriers. You can call up any competitors getting ready for this and say, look, here's where I'm at on this.
Right.
For me, I talked to me and Sawyer practice together a lot, sharing information. We're 2-man partners here.
Right.
But we're competing against one another too.
Yeah.
So it's like the WCBs or any, you're pushing each other. Ben Mangan, open book, he helped a lot. Tom Peterson, Bodie, the whole AFT, Daniel, and all them guys that you just start putting ideas together and like, oh, you're doing that? Well, I can incorporate that. And then all of a sudden we get here and there's people that's clipping and ready to clean with 9 minutes, 8 minutes,
right.
And that's a lot. I guess being here this weekend, seeing stuff, whenever the contest itself, the shoes itself, competing, practicing, horseshoeing in general, whatever, it doesn't matter if you're doing that or if you're trying to run or bike or whatever it is, your potential, I guess, is way more than what you think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you're starting out doing something, and then you'll get to a point to where you're thinking you're maxing your physical and mental potential out. If you think you are, then just step outside the comfort zone and get with somebody else. Then you'll realize there's more room to push.
Yeah.
Because there's no reason if so-and-so can do it, there's no reason you can't do it. Like the only reason that I am where I am on the standings is nobody but me. So you got to start looking at that. And then when you start seeing that, then you can push on. So that's what this one teaches. Like if you think you're probably really only operating at 40 or 50%. There's always more room to push.
Right. I think it was the 7-minute mile where they never thought it was possible. And then one guy did it.
Yeah. Now 4-minute I had to look it up. I'd had to Google it. A marathon, the world record in a marathon, dude had a 4-minute and it was like 4:30 or 4:40 pace like, come on. I run and I know what pace is. And I'm like, that's some things I'm not going to chase after that one.
Yeah.
I don't know why people wouldn't want to compete at any level because I remember back when I first started out, pulling clips was a bitch.
Yeah.
Like a bitch, a royal bitch. And then when you start getting like, all right, I can pull me a clip on this St. Croix light, that's all I had. And I was pulling a clip. I was like, all right, that's serviceable. Then they hand you a cross peen. You're like, well, I just run so many more shoes with a cross peen,
right.
Pulling clips. Then you get pretty good at pulling clips, like nice, presentable, don't have to file them to make them, And then someone's like, why don't you do 2 branches at once? It's in the gap, like getting ready for the journeyman. And you're like, what? I'd mess my shoe up. And you do mess your shoe up until you do it. And then when you do it, all of a sudden, guess what? I ain't going to pull a clip on just one branch. Why not just do 2? And then everything's so that's the cool thing about all this, whether it's certifications or competing.
Yeah.
It's not the prize money. And at some point, yeah, it is. I mean, it is prize money, but it's so much more than that sometimes.
Yeah. It's interesting. You have to be willing to go through that frustrating period.
You got to be humble.
When you step that from 1 clip to 2, because like you said, you start messing up things that you didn't have an issue with before.
And own it. That's what I tell, like my apprentice now, she's come a long way in 3 years. Like she's solid, but when she first started, like clips for this, like just something hard, like we was talking about, Then she got pretty good with the clipping hammer she was using, so I took it away from her and I gave her another one.
Yeah. Right.
And then she's like, well, I can't pull a clip with that one. That's why I gave it to you.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did another. Then I gave her cross pins and all that. So now in the shop, when she's in the shop, and I was like, hey, clip these up for tomorrow or whatever. It don't matter what hammer's there.
Mm-hmm.
A clip's a clip. You know, the only thing different is the source.
Right.
You have to step outside your comfort zone. You have to. And then just know you're going to fail. I told something to my daughter, and I tell her all the time, and it was something I learned and had to swallow. And it was the hardest thing for swallow. So I guess when I started doing better, I got locked down in a spot. I couldn't get out of it. And when I finally owned this, I started getting comfortable in the suck zone. You're going to fail.
Right.
And it's not bad. That's good. That's really good. Like, I've made so many mistakes here at Spruce that it's not even funny. And did it keep me from placing higher? Yeah, absolutely. But is it a bad thing? No.
Right.
No, I got homework now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll see y'all in 360 days.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
What I'll be a little bit better, 1% each day. Yvonne had to get out of her comfort zone too in order to grow and get her homework. So Lyle Shepard, he comes to the shop, practices a lot. He told her, he said, you need to make 3 heat shoes for your journeyman. She says, well, you got to do it. So she did it, and they sucked. She failed. Then she figured out why she failed, made adjustment, made some more. They still suck. She failed. But off that failure, she learned, you have to fail to know,
right.
I mean, I can tell you all day why it's not going to work, but until you do it.
And mess it up. Yeah.
Yeah. So now she's making 3 heat journeyman shoes, and they're nice. They got a nice shape. They got nice flow. Nails drop. Clips are strong. There you go. Like, nothing's handed. She did a journeyman horse the week before I came here and was going to make a run at it. And I laughed at her, and she was measuring feet. She told me what she's going to cut. And I was like, really? I think I'd cut this. She goes, well, I'm not going to bump. I'm just going to do this. I'm like, all right. I just left it. I knew she's going to come small. There's no way. I knew, but I'm not going to argue. Okay, cool. Well, she did it. And then later on she came and goes, thank you. I was like, you're welcome. And she accepts it. She goes, I failed. But if I would have just changed my measurement and cut what you said,
it wouldn't have stuck with her, right?
Exactly. So she cut what she wanted to cut. She saw how short she was. She knew what I said I would cut, and she did the math. She goes, that came right on. But why? And she figured out, well, guess what? Now she can measure a foot, and it's better. And I told my daughter, you gotta fail. That's what I told her when I dropped her off for college. I gave her a hug and I said, fail as many times as you have to fail in order to succeed and get what you need. That's what it's about. You're not going to succeed unless you do.
Yeah.
So to anybody that's thinking about competing certification, show up. We expect you to fail. I want to fail. There's top hens I'm watching making mistakes here. I mean, everybody's.
Mm-hmm. Hence why the standings keep changing. And
you're going to get ragged for it. And if you're getting ragged, that means everybody likes you. It's true. Like,
you're right. Yeah.
And somebody's going to buy you a beer, and then somebody, you're going to buy somebody else.
Now, competing on the team, like I saw you last year, how is that different? How do the dynamics change when you go from competing as an individual to being part of the American Farriers team and doing that?
I think it's more pressure at first, because now, or at that time, when you step up on a team, like I learned when I got on the WCB team and was the first team. So I kind of had an idea when I stepped off and got on AFT. You're held accountable for a corner. So you have to do your homework. Like, there wasn't many nights I'd come in too tired and say, I'm not going to practice or whatever, but a few times, like, all right, I'm going to save myself and whatever. So I practiced a lot. But when you get on that team, you're like, there's 3 other dudes who'd be like, oh, you think you're tired? I just shod that many horses too, and there's shoe number 2, and they send you pictures, and you're like, all right. So everybody's there to push. And it's not there's no negatives to getting on a team or qualifying for a team or putting a team together. You just have to do your part and hold up your corner.
Right.
It changes your mindset a little bit. If you really want to see the team do better, then you got to understand that you got to do your part too. No 1 or 2 guys can pull the team through.
Right. Everybody
needs to do their part and understand that on a 4-man team, any given day at a contest, somebody's going to have a really good day and somebody's going to have a bad day.
Right.
But you need 3 out of the 4 need to have that really good right down the middle and help that guy, that 4th guy, and keep everything up. So I spent 2 on a WCB and 3 on the AFT. And then when you come off of it, you kind of hold on to that team mentality because, like, you're watching fires during goes. You're helping clean fires out. You're rooting for them guys, but they may beat you. They may not.
Yeah, even though you're competing against them.
But it's still a push. You keep that team mentality. But now when you go home and the next shoe list comes out, that's the dudes you're going to call and say, hey, did you see this? Or what do you think about that? Or
Right.
how are we going to do this element? Or, you know, whether you're on the same team together or not, you know?
Right.
I guess the biggest change, your family gets bigger.
Yeah.
It just gets bigger.
And you were on it 3 years, you said?
The
On
AFT.
the AFT? Yeah. And each time there's a different iteration of the team as well, right? So more and more people part of the family. That's cool. When you have a new shoe, like when you get a shoe list and something comes out that looks complicated or that you haven't tackled before, how do you approach that?
Before I call anybody, I'd fail at it a few times.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah, because then I have questions.
Right.
Like I can look at it and kind of have those questions, but before I call anybody, I'm going to attempt it a few times, see how close in the execution I get. Then you know what questions to ask, right?
Right.
If I just look at it, I may ask a general question, just like measuring feet.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to do it. Then all right, no, okay. Is it a bump and turn? You know, I mean,
Right.
And used to, man, I'd dance around a shoe. If I saw a shoe on a shoe list, I'd be really bad about dancing around that shoe. Like I'd work out all the kinks in the other ones and leave that one last. Like I'd be like, I don't want, because I was scared of failure. Then I got to where I'm that's the one shoe when I look at the list, there's gonna be one I probably don't like, and I'll end up loving it because I'll work through it enough to where like, oh yeah, this is cool.
That's the one you focus
yeah,
on.
that's and then you like it, and then if you already like the other ones, win-win.
Right.
Practice just got easy.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I've built it a few times, and if I'm not getting the results or getting what looks like the specimen, or even if it's a time deal, if it's not efficient, then I'll start making a few phone calls,
Right.
you know, or sending pictures or whatever. That goes back to networking, just competing or getting on teams. You know, once you're on a team, you're always on that team, you know.
Right.
That's what I do. I'd build it a few times, attempt it, or even just try to work the element, like get some drops and try to work that element.
Right.
The Italian hind here, you know, that wedge, you know, we worked at that wedge. I thought I had it sorted, did it a different way, didn't like that, went back to this way. Then you do it 5 or 6 ways and you're like, I don't really know what I'm doing now. So you start getting on the phone and talking to everybody. Not one person in however many years I've been shoeing and however many years I've been competing or not one time have I ever called anybody and said, hey, you do this. And they'd be like, screw off. I ain't telling you. Everybody wants you to be at your best on the day.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I want to beat you, I want to beat you at your best.
Right.
I don't want to beat you because you showed up last minute and didn't get to practice. Well, whatever. Like, so if you called me, like, here's my notes. There you go.
Right.
Read them. I'm an open book. If I'm going to beat you, I'm going to beat you on your best.
Right. Now, and that's another thing. Do you keep, when you get your shoe list, do you keep a series of notes on the changes and stuff?
Yeah, I've got just about every WCB flyer and picture. And then after a while, the notes become a little bit more about draw links on a branch or something, you know. Used to, I wrote down every step on how to make every element. And then I think as you progress, you start saying forging is forging.
Right.
So you just kind of emulate what you're seeing by either bumping, drawing, or fullering it out or welding. Just seeing the hardest thing for me is seeing shapes. It seems like sometimes I got to focus harder on the shapes because I'll be like, that quarter's a little lower, this right here. But it's gotten a little bit better, but not where I want to be with it yet, you know. But yeah, notes. I try to keep as many notes as possible.
Okay. Now, are there any soapboxes you like to stand on? Any advice you'd have for somebody starting into this?
I can get on a soapbox, but I'm not going to. I try to turn over a new leaf. Right?
Okay.
No,
wow.
No, I don't have. It's a good day. Anybody that's starting out, anybody that's been shoeing, or anybody, like, I guess just know you're going to fail.
Yeah.
If you're going to fail, just fail forward, you know? Like, so take the failure, look at it, break it down. And if you can't figure out why you failed, call somebody.
Yeah.
Travis Smith, hind feet. I'd work on hind feet, whatever. And I've called him so many times with stupid questions. and all that. And he never laughs, never whatever. He goes, well, it's probably because you're doing this and doing that, because he struck for me last year going through team trials. He was my striker. So I was relying on him. And he'd come in for a practice and we go through, and I'd ask him stuff that maybe a 1-year student, like, what do you see? What is it like? How can I present this foot the best possible version of and stuff? And I might ask him the same thing 20 different ways, but he's going to be right there. If you're giving effort, if you're moving forward, I don't know anybody in this industry that's not going to
help you.
Yeah. So advice, know you're going to fail, and then take that failure and figure out why, fix it. And then that's 1% better. And tomorrow will be 1% better. And the next day, if you do 1% better 365 times, dude,
you're pretty good.
In a year, that's 365% better than what you were when you started out. Like hillcocks. Like if you think you suck at hillcocks, make a hillcock today. Make 6, make 8 of them, but do it every day and just look at them and make it 1% better. Don't stress out about the whole thing. Like just take bits and pieces and then 1% better. Don't look at a shoe as a whole. Look at different aspects. Like for me, like now when I build shoes and stuff, I don't think about that whole shoe in my brain when I'm fixing to build a shoe. If it's for a foot, I keep that shape in my mind the whole time. But when I pull out of the fire, if it's a bump heat, the only thing I'm thinking about when I pull it out is specifically quench, where I'm quenching to. I'm focusing on that center dot and I'm quenching. Once it comes out of that quench bucket, I'm not thinking about that no more. I'm going to think about the bump. And I'm going to bump. And I'm going to watch that section to where it gets to where it needs straightening and then flattening. And I'm going to bump until I see what I need to make that toe.
Right.
And then I'm going to come out in the next heat, and I'm not thinking about a bump. I'm not thinking about fullering. I'm not thinking about the caulking on the end or the heel or anything. I'm thinking about that toe bend for that shoe, either for that foot or for that specimen. And so if you break things down like that, you can build the whole shoe, but during those heats, break those heats down and only focus on that heat.
Right.
And then if you fail at that heat, move on and build the rest of the shoe and then go back and see why you failed and just be happy you failed. Because now, guess what? When you work through that,
right,
you got it. That's 1% better.
Yeah. This portion of the podcast is called the Stratum Tectorium. These are the short answer, surface stuff questions, but it's okay if the guest wants to go deeper. Enjoy. Do you have a favorite book?
Greenlight.
Greenlight? What's that from?
It's Matthew McConaughey's book.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Pretty good.
Favorite brand of nails?
Not a favorite. I use a lot of Liberties and I'll use some Mustads.
All right.
Like not a favorite.
Not loyal to any? What shoe sizes do you generally have to stock the most of or stock lengths that you cut?
Anything from 11.5 inches to 3/8, 3/4. And here recently, like the other day, I cut some 15.5 to 16 inches of 1/2 by 1 concave.
Okay.
I got a pretty mixed bag of horses right now. I got more warm bloods, more Bigfoots than what I've had ever. I grew up in the quarter horse country and, rodeos or show horses and stuff. So they're smaller feet, but now it's getting a little bit more diverse and I have fun with it. So shoe size, anything from an 0 to 3 and 4, and then cutting, I'll cut anything from 11.5 of 3/4 section to 15.5 of 1,
Yeah. Okay. Do you do mostly handmades in your day-to-day stuff?
No, not at all. I've got keg shoes. I'll make up a lot of truck shoes and put them on truck. Like I know some of my horses that are coming up, so
right.
I'll just make theirs and band them together with their name on it, or or whatever. I do stuff like that. But no, I have keg shoes. I'll nail on a lot of Kirkharts.
Okay.
I like Kirkhart standards. I'll have some pre-clips on my truck, and I'll have some no clipped. Or if I don't like the clips for that particular, I'll grind them off, draw a clip. I don't,
right.
I'm not hardcore like that, but I like concave. I like concave a lot. I'll turn a lot of concave, put it on the truck.
Right. Favorite rounding hammer?
Right now I'm using a Jim Poor, and I go back and forth. I changed quite a bit. I used to use the same one all the time. It seemed like there for a long time. I got locked into a 2 1/4 Jim Poor. Right now, I think at this contest, I got my 2-pound Jim Poor I like, and I've got a 2-pound hammer Chris Madrid made. I have a Mark Milster 2 1/4 that he made for me. I got several, depending on what the task is, but I'd say just right in the middle of them. Gym pours are pretty salty, you know. I still think they're good. And heck, man, Money's is good too. I don't know. I like them all. It don't matter. Like, that's the thing about being on team. Like me and Sawyer were front footers together for a while. I'd pick up his hammer and use it, not think twice
Right,
or
yeah.
whatever. I'm not really married to just one particular hammer, you know.
Right.
Change them up quite a bit.
Okay. Favorite Mega Rasp?
I go back from the original Save Edge to the Green Tang.
Okay.
Back and forth.
Yeah. And favorite anvil?
Man, that's tough. Like in my shop, I have a A4 Coastwall.
Okay.
It's pretty sweet. I like it a lot. And I also have an Emerson 200 pound. That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have the Anvil brand 200. And then I recently, past few months, I've gotten Austin Eden's 200. And it's
a sweet anvil.
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Like, it's very sweet. So I don't think you can go wrong with any of them. Right now I'm working on Austin's and Scott Austin. It's very, very nice. Off my truck, I use Scott anvils, the 100 pound.
Okay.
Can't really go wrong with those. Those are nice. So I got a variety.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Quite the collection, it seems. Do you have a dream Farrier rig?
Yeah. A yacht in the Gulf.
The end?
Yeah. Done. No, I have a split body now, a lift off. You know, it leaves me with a flatbed, and then I take the box and I set it on the trailer. To me, that's pretty handy, pretty universal. I had a trailer for years, and I've had Stonewells, and I got that Finger Lakes I won in 19.
Okay.
I don't know. I kind of I can work out of anything. Just get used to it and roll on, you know?
Right. Favorite pastime after work?
Right now, like, it used to be bow hunting all the time. Like, I love bow hunting. I still like that. I'm just not, I run quite a bit. I like running. I like the bike. I get on the bike, mountain bike.
Okay, cool.
Recently got a smoker. So I've been trying to smoke like briskets, and I suck at it, dude. I suck. I did a brisket the other day for like 8 hours thinking that was like
going to be the one.
And it had a decent flavor, but it was tough. My buddy said, it's just still tight. And I'm like, it's shit, isn't it? Shit. So I'm kind of messing with that. Like, I'll have a smoker going when I'm in the shop, like working on tools or templates or whatever, you know. And
it's kind of the perfect thing for that.
Yeah, I suck at it. Lyle Shepard's the peckerhead that got me started in it. He goes like, you're going to get addicted to this. I'm like, no, it's just, well, all of a sudden now it's like a challenge.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
The ribs turned out good the other day, but the brisket, I think we ate on it for a little bit, and then I might have buried the rest of it. It just would. A friend of mine, he shows up at a barn, helps out shoeing and stuff. He's good for. He's like big time into it. He goes, yeah, I did a brisket the other day, like 17 hours. I'm like, my God. Really? He goes, yeah, when my little thermometer just falls right through the meat, that's when it's done. I'm like, I don't know if I could have shot through mine with a 30-06.
Still
so I got a lot
tight.
left to learn on that. But no, I run, I ride the bike a lot, and I still hunt here and there and stuff, but mainly that.
Okay. So is the mountain biking good in your area?
Yeah, Arkansas is starting to really pick it up, like up around Fayetteville, like, oh yeah.
All right.
Big time, like a lot of single track stuff, and around Bentonville. It's big.
Okay. I just got back into mountain biking after taking a 20-something year hiatus. So
it was good. Robert Jukes got me kind of into it. He's like, oh, yeah, it helps the lower back and taxes your lungs pretty good and stuff. And I was like, all right. So I ended up with one, and sure enough, I loved it. And then there's getting to be more and more single tracks and stuff around us. They're just dumping money into it, building this stuff everywhere. Mm-hmm. And it's fun. It's a good time.
I agree. Next thing on your bucket list.
Be nice to hit the lottery.
There you go. He really wants that yacht, I think.
Yeah, I'm working on that yacht. Still working on the down payment. Maybe travel a little bit more. But then again, I'm still I like competing. Keep going.
Okay. Ideal number of horses to shoe all around in one day?
4 or 5. Yeah, I'm not trying to set the world on fire.
Yep. Favorite inspirational quote?
If you ain't first, you're last. No. I think man in the arena is good.
Yeah, that is a good one. Do you have a Farrier Terrier?
No.
If you're stumped on a case or need backup, who do you call?
Depends on what it is and who I can get to answer their phone. I said these guys are friends. I didn't say they're good at answering phones.
Gotcha. Do you have a favorite shoe or package for mystery lameness or a horse that's footy?
mystery lameness. Oh man, you throw the kitchen sink at it. You can put a rocker toe and Austin's 3D pads on there and impression material. It's pretty much going to cure everything. Knock on wood, don't jinx me. I don't deal with a whole lot of, knocking on wood here, I don't deal with a whole lot of lameness stuff. Like I got the horses that I would say are lame, quote unquote, are just sore, like olders or senior horses. And I don't do a whole lot of therapeutic, quote unquote, type stuff. Like, so I'll use quite a few rocker toes. Like I'll put a rocker toe on feet. I do use Austin's pads, plexus pads. Those are pretty sweet.
Okay.
Impression material. Sometimes I'll apply a leather pad. I got maybe a couple horses in bar shoes, and sometimes I'll build a bar shoe, forge weld, and sometimes I'll just jump and file into them. That was something that Travis Smith got me doing, because he does a lot of them bigger warm bloods jumpers and stuff. And then when I started taking on more of those, I was like describing some feet, and I said, I don't like this. They kind of look like they're pushed through or prolapsed or dropped in. He's like, oh yeah, just give him a file back there, and I was like, really? He goes, dude, I use it all the time. So he sent me some pictures. I'm like, that's sweet. So he kind of got me on that, and it helped a ton. So that's really like the file in the back, jumping those, like it's big old wide bar.
Yeah, it's not heavy.
It's not heavy. It's good. And then, like I said, Austin's pads, leather pads, if they're a little thin soled. That's about it. Rocker toes.
All right. Yeah. What do you use as your planner or agenda?
Oh, I'm old school. I use mechanical pencil, and I buy a planner. I've recently bumped up from the yearly planner to every 2-year planner.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah. Investing in your future.
Profits were good last quarter. I just thought I'd,
Really planning ahead, too.
Yeah.
Favorite method of soothing aches and pains?
To be honest, that was a lot of the biking and the running. And everybody says running's bad on your knees. I'm like, well, nobody ever complains about me showing, like, really? Look what we do for a living, like. But
it's bad for your knees.
I think anything you can do to make you move different.
Yeah.
Because we live life at 90.
Yeah.
We're 90 degrees all the time. So run a little bit, get on the bike a little bit, swim. A buddy of mine was swimming. Swimming's insane, like cardio, and uses everything. Yeah. I don't take a whole lot of medicine. I'll take some Aleve or ibuprofen if I,
right,
feeling stoved up. And hell, we are going to feel stoved up. I'm 43, the odometer's clicking away. But if I stay moving and stuff, I feel better. Like contests, the hardest part about contests is when it's not your go. You're standing on, we're not shoeing.
Yeah, you're not bent over. Yeah.
Cold showers helps. I don't do them. I just said I heard it help. But
do as he says, not as he does.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I think moving, stretching. I stretch a lot, like after a run or whatever. Anything you can do like that, I think helps with aches and pains. I know my back feels better. I don't feel as whatever. And I can tell when I don't run or don't bike, my hips don't, like I don't get under horses as good. And then the horses start fighting. When the horses start fighting, you start getting tired. You start getting, you know what I mean? So it's all just different movements.
Yeah. Favorite drink?
I drink a lot of water.
Okay.
And coffee.
Right. And alcoholic?
I like Tito's tonic. I have those. Have a beer here and there and stuff, but have those. But I drink a lot of water.
Okay.
A lot of water. And liquid IVs has been something here lately. I've been
liquid IV.
Those liquid IV packets you put
in the water? Right.
Yeah, that's good.
Gotcha. Favorite genre of music, and more specifically, favorite song?
Any and all. John, I don't know, man. Like I'm a 90s kid, 80s and 90s. Depends on what the mood is, right? So, I mean, there's like everything from 90s grunge to heavy metal to like a lot of great country songs to bluegrass to, I don't know. I guess if I had to play one and just chill out and like, I don't know, Yellow Ledbetter.
All right. Yeah.
That's a good one. All of them's good. That's a tough question. That's the toughest question yet, man.
I saved it towards the end. What would you have been if not a farrier?
Trust fund, baby.
All right. Good call.
No, I don't know. Anything in a trade. Like I wish I'd all seriousness, like the 4-year college is good. It's good, but tool and die, go to trade school, tool and die, electrician, plumber, anything like that. I mean, all those trades, those are badass trades. Welder.
Okay. And the COVID question, if you're locked in a shop with somebody for a month, who would you want it to be?
Man, that's tough, huh?
Yeah.
How do you narrow that down? I'll just say you can learn from anybody, but who can you stand for a month?
That's the key part of the question.
Man, I don't know. I can't put a name on that one because, like there's so many dudes I've been blessed to work with and practice with and been on teams with, and even if it was just for a day, practice with somebody, or for a matter of 3 years or 6 years or 16 years or 15. Here as of recently, me and Sawyer's been practicing a lot together. A month in the shop, that wouldn't be a bad deal. That'd be a good time. Andrew Wells, me and him practiced together for a long time. No big Travis Smith, Lamar Weaver, Daniel Jones. I can keep building with Tom Peterson. Like, just I can't put one name on that. Ben Mangan, he's been good. Tim McPhee and them guys up there. Like, Chad Chance, he's always been very helpful and stuff. Like, golly, Craig, that whole crew, Bodie.
I saved all the hard questions for the end.
Yeah, I'm not going to put one name on that. Like, any and all, man.
And one other question I've been adding is, what do you use as your hoof knives?
I have Salcidos and Lamar Weaver.
Okay, and do you do like a left and a right, or?
I have left and right. I have right now, I think at this contest, I got some new Lamars the other day. I didn't have time to get them broke in.
Right.
So I think I'm using a Salcido, but I've got right and left frog knives.
Okay, cool. Well, that's it. Thank you very much, man.
That was painless.
There you go.